Welcome everyone to Talent Experience Live. Of course, the show that covers everything that you need to know in recruitment, talent acquisition, talent management, and human resources in general. We here at TXL, that's what we call it for short, like to say that this is the greatest show on the internet. Shout out to Tom Tate for really manifesting that into what it is today. So yes, it is better than your favorite podcast. It is better than Emily in Paris, which is back for season 3 on Netflix. You will not want to miss any episodes. And we've done quite a few this past year, and that's what today is all about. But before we get into that, I am your host, Devin Foster, and Talent Experience Live is proudly brought to you by the good folks here at Phenom, whose purpose, stop me if you've heard this before, is to help 1 billion people find the right job. I think they've done so with me. I am certainly thrilled to be the host of Talent Experience Live and heading up our social team here. But it's no easy task. It is a tall task. It is something that we work effortlessly hard for every single day. 1 billion people is a lot, and hopefully we can reach a few folks today and help them find the right job. But the main way that Phenom does this is through their intelligent talent experience platform, which helps candidates find the right fit faster, employees evolve in their current roles and beyond, recruiters achieve some next level productivity and efficiency, and managers really build better teams with data analytics and automation. Now, you may be asking, Devin, that's quite a bit. I know an intelligent talent experience platform is certainly something to celebrate, but how is it done? And fear not, I'm here to tell you, it is done through super slick artificial intelligence that you never feel on the front end. Everything is working on the back end. As we head into the holiday season and you take some time off, I can assure you that our artificial intelligence will not do so. It'll continue to screen candidates. It'll help them move through the process. It'll chat with them via chatbot and everything in between. So if this is something that interests you, definitely head on over to phenom.com. And if you're already a Phenom customer or already in conversations with Phenom, don't forget to check out IamPhenom.com, our conference coming up on March 28th. Registration is open. There are super early bird specials that you can sign up with and save $1 just to make that budget look extra special and extra clean heading into the new year. But that does it for paying the bills. I think I've checked off all of my boxes. I'm super excited about today's episode. It is HR's year in review. 2022 has been a bit of a whirlwind. We've talked about boomerang employees, about recessions, about layoffs, about talent shortages, and everything in between. And we've done quite a few episodes on them. So today, what we did was we actually looked through all of our clips, through all of our blogs, and said, hey, what are the ones that people are resonating the most with? Because I know not everyone can tune in every single Thursday. So let's play the hits and make sure that we can give these one last dance in the sunlight before we kick off 2023. And also follow that up. If you'd like to watch the full episode, you always can on YouTube. Like I said, we mentioned the blog recaps, but neither here nor there. We have a great season coming up in 2023 as well. We are going to be chatting all around recruiter efficiency. I know I just chatted with John Harrington today around our January 5th episode on Thursday, which is new year, new goals, right? No matter what company you are with, your goals will never be stagnant. Even if you had a down year last year, when it comes to hiring and growing the organization, they're always going to increase. That is a little something that I like to call capitalism. So with these new pressures and everything in between, recruiter efficiency is going to be a top priority, and you won't want to miss next season throughout the month of January, starting January 5th. But enough about next year. No more forward thinking. This next few weeks is time to reflect on the year in the past, and we are doing so by celebrating all of the episodes that we had in 2023. And we're going to start with a little countdown, our 10 favorite clips from 2023, or 10 most popular, if you will. And it starts with Phenom's own. This is number 10, Adam Thompson, who talks about the key differences between application time for frontline workers versus knowledge workers. And without any further hesitation, Let's roll the clip.
It actually takes double the amount of time on average for frontline workers to apply than it does for knowledge workers. Average knowledge worker takes about 5 minutes and 40 seconds to get through an entire application experience.
Sure.
Frontline, on average, it's about 11 minutes and 4 seconds. So it's a really big time discrepancy. And that's because most companies are having them go through the exact same experience. But it's not actually the same experience for the candidate. For a knowledge worker, I can upload a resume, usually have it get parsed, and I'm almost always going to be applying from a desktop. If I'm a frontline worker, I probably don't have a resume. Therefore, I have to enter everything in manually. And guess what? I'm using my thumbs on a smaller screen. What we see is just a tremendous amount of abandoned applications from frontline candidates when they're having to go through such a lengthy application process.
11 minutes may not seem like a lot. Tom, shout out to you. He does know his stuff. That was a fantastic episode. You did a great job hosting. But when we think about 11 minutes, the way that I like to paint the picture is, it's 11:49 on a Thursday, and I have 11 minutes before I have to hop on and host Talent Experience Live. What can I get done? Maybe I can pop some toast in. There are a ton of things that I can get done because it's a long period of time. And to ask that of frontline workers who are trying to apply to as many jobs as they possibly can to get their foot in that door, it's a little bit too much. And Adam raises a few excellent points there, specifically the use of mobile, right? Using your thumbs, not having a resume to parse are all things that are going to stretch out that application process, which brings us to clip number 9. After a candidate has filled out their application, what's the next step in the process? Typically, they hear from a recruiter to set up a Zoom or even face-to-face interview. Maybe it's a phone screen. This next clip features Luba Bogdanovich, and he talks about why he refers to his team as talent acquisition partners and not recruiters, because it truly is a partnership between your talent acquisition team and candidates. But don't take it from me. Let's roll the clip of Luba.
Yeah, we've called them and we've given them the title of talent acquisition partner. We think it's critical. We are in the process of trying to find talent and bring it into the organization. We think it's a role that partners with the business quite well as well. It's not just about recruiting, but it's understanding the business, understanding where it's going, what it wants to do, and how we can absolutely impact that through bringing in the right talent into the organization at the right time.
I love that sentiment. And the other thing that I want to add is it's not just about a partnership between the business and the talent acquisition team. It's also a partnership between the talent acquisition partner and their candidate, right? How many times have you in the recruiting field hopped onto a phone call and somebody maybe just hasn't been the right fit for a role? Do you abandon them and leave them, send them off into the sea, never to talk to them again? Absolutely not. You're going to continue that partnership with them, continue that conversation, see if there's another role that they may be a good fit for. Or if I know from my experience as a recruiter, whenever I would be at career fairs or anything in between, there are a ton of jobs, and talent acquisition folks talk to other talent acquisition folks. So creating that partnership and relaying them to maybe even another organization that they might be a good fit for is going to help you get referrals. It's going to put good juju out there in the world of your organization, help you get good information and better candidates in the long run. Tom chimes in again and says Luba really knows his stuff as well. Tom, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm trying to get Luba for next season in January, talking about recruiter efficiency, talent acquisition partner efficiency, because I know his team is using a ton of awesome tools to really help streamline the process for candidates, as well as make it as really painless as possible for his team. Our next clip was a unique one. It was something we hadn't done before. It was almost like a collab. Think of your favorite two companies, whether it be Nike and Louis Vuitton, teaming up together to make one supreme product. What we did is we teamed up actually with the Bo and Luke show, and they interviewed Lisa Jaster, who is Army Lieutenant and Colonel. She was actually the first female Army Reserve officer to become Ranger qualified. So shout out to Lisa. And what she talked about was really the critical insight between how companies can help veterans thrive in the workforce. We turn on the television on a regular basis and we see these terrible stories of what happens to our veterans, and organizations can truly help. by offering them that next step in their career, giving them that sense of purpose that they are truly looking for. So with that, let's hear from Lisa and the Bo and Luke Show at number 8.
What we, as former military, specifically in companies, can do better. And that is really understanding what that military experience brings. So our non-military counterparts don't understand our lingo and a lot of times get real frustrated. I remember when I first joined the workforce, leaving active duty into Shell Oil Company, people kept telling me, hey, this isn't the military anymore. And it's like, that's right. You hired me because you wanted this. You wanted more direct leadership. You wanted I have the ability to sit and communicate in a different fashion with multiple demographics because that was my only experience. And so as veterans, we bring this, it's not even experience, it's almost an empathy to a vast and very diverse community that someone who's grown up, went to college, got hired on, and worked in the same community their whole life couldn't possibly understand unless your passport's really punched.
Tom, to your point, our guests in 2022 really know their stuff as well. That was a spectacular episode. I want to pause before we continue with the countdown of our top clips. As I mentioned, we went through 10, 9, and 8 right there. We are going to send out our blog for a year in review recap immediately following the show. So if you want to hear more from any of these particular guests or episodes, definitely feel free to hop on over to Phenom Blog. The full episodes are live on LinkedIn and on YouTube right now. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow. But I promise that will be maybe one more promotion that we'll do as we continue today's episode. Our next top clip of 2022 is number 7, and it comes from Layla O'Kane, a research manager at Lightcast. And she explored emerging trends in something that was actually chatted about quite a bit a few weeks ago with Cigna, as well as Josh Bersin and Jess Elmquist. They had a webinar that we streamed live on LinkedIn. If you haven't heard it, just Google Phenom Josh Bersin. It'll pop up. I promise you that. But it was all around skills disruption. And we kind of teased that in this episode with Layla. And she shared how her research team identified a new study, over 15 million job postings they looked at. And they saw this topic of skills disruption and what skills mean when it comes to evolving your business and retaining talent and keeping folks there for the long haul. But do not take it from me. Definitely check out this clip from Layla.
How can we understand this concept of skill disruption?
Yeah, so the index is just, it's on a scale from 0 to 100, and 100 is the job that's changed the most in the last 5 years, and 0 is the least. And so if I were explaining it to your 3rd grader, I might say that they've been a student since they were in kindergarten. They're still a student, but their day looks really different now. 3rd grade is really different from kindergarten. They're doing different things. They have different activities. And it's the same in jobs, even if people don't really realize it. So what we found, just to sort of anchor us, is at the one end of the spectrum, on the 0 end, is a job like mystery shopper, which sounds like a very obscure job, but is still a job. And that hasn't changed at all in the last 5 years, pretty much. And then on the far end of the scale is, I think it's like web developer or data engineer or something. So it's a very, very technical job. One that has changed a lot in the last 5 years in terms of the skills that it's needing.
The skills disruption is something that we can all relate to in our daily lives. Think back to a different time. We'll call it 2019, when we were all commuting into the office, meeting with our colleagues, and meeting in actual meeting rooms. Now, fast forward to 2022, 2023, we all have to be really technologically sound to know the difference between a Zoom meeting, a Google Meet meeting, know the difference between Google Slides and Keynote, and everything in between. All of these skills are constantly changing. And to Layla's point, the only job that she saw that didn't change was mystery shopper. And that is because, quite frankly, I think it's a mystery of what they do. No one knows. We'll have to get to the bottom of that in 2023. But it's certainly an exciting topic. The world is changing so fast. I mean, when we talk about AI and how it is really into the everyday lives that we use, whether it be GPS to get from point A to point B, or the current news cycle talking about how Chat GPT is going to take over all of our jobs and we're never going to have to work again. There certainly is some in between there where we're going to need humans, but understanding technology as it continues to rapidly grow is certainly something that we will do, and skills disruption kind of dives a bit deep into that as well. So definitely check out that episode with Layla O'Kane. The next clip that I want to share is number 6. And this one is near and dear to my heart, especially as we begin to approach that holiday season where some folks start to take a few extra days here. Maybe it's a Friday, maybe it's a Saturday, but it is unlimited PTO. And this is a controversial topic. And we actually chatted about it with Nikki Spencer, who was Director of Business Development at the Star Conspiracy. And I love her take on unlimited PTO and how maybe it's not all that it's talked up to be. But with that being said, here is our number 6 clip of 2022 coming from Nikki Spencer.
When I was an hourly worker, I think I had 2 weeks, and for me, the shift when I came to the Star Conspiracy and had an unlimited paid time off policy, the shift was the mentality. And we talk about this all the time in our shop, the scarcity versus abundance mentality. And the scarcity mentality, meaning you have 2 weeks. You need to think about January 1st, how you're going to allocate that time to get the most out of it. And you don't want to take time off for things that might be important to your mental health or just taking care of your family, because you want to be able to enjoy your time off and have vacations. And it just kind of feels like there's a ticking clock behind you, winding down the days through the year. And with the abundance mentality, it's more so, I don't have to worry, like you brought it up earlier, how you're going to allocate that time or how you're going to use it. It really just takes the pressure off, and you can take care of yourself. In reality, I probably won't take more than 2 or 3 weeks this year. I mean, I already have 3 weeks on my calendar of paid time off for 2022. I might not take more than that, but knowing that I can, if I need to, is amazing. It's invaluable to me.
One of my favorite clips from 2022. Nikki talks a little bit about how unlimited PTO maybe isn't everything that we say it is. You can't take a full year off, right? That wouldn't fly. And I want to talk about the inverse of that, where I'm sure there are a lot of larger organizations right now where maybe half of the company is off this week because it's a use it or lose it basis, right? Where folks have maybe 4 or 5 days left and they need to use it all. So what happens when things go awry or when there are deliverables? I also want to shout out Rohith Reedy, who was talking about the abundance mentality and how it's very important. They tried doing this, doing gratitude in their workplace to move towards the abundance thought. And I like that as well. It means people can take time when they need it, as long as they do not abuse it. Our next topic is equally as important, if not more, and it circles around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We were joined by Christina Cole, who's MBA and PMP at Managing Principal at HR Computes. And she is all too familiar with working with organizations trying to really leverage DE&I successfully in their businesses, but they go about it with the wrong approach. They go about it with just the check the box approach, kind of like maybe PTO or unlimited PTO. We know that everyone and everyone's circumstance is different. So she really unpacks DE&I in this episode, and it is our number 5 favorite clip of the year. So without any more further hesitation, let's hear from Christina.
I think leaders in the 21st century really do need to think differently. We've heard a lot about the Great Resignation. I think that's probably more about the Great Realignment. People are valuing different things. The workforce is changing. The predominant, the largest percentage of workforce participants are now millennials, and they have a different view. And it's something that we all really need to consider. And it's not only the right thing to do, ultimately, long term, it is the most profitable thing to do as well.
That episode from Christina was, I think, all the way back in the beginning of 2022, far far before we ever had the conversation of quiet quitting. And we really got into this generational topics around how Gen Z is different than millennials and baby boomers and everything in between. And she really kind of predicted the future of, we have to take a different approach. We have to maybe not do something that's all encompassing, but recognize that folks are different and work with them to get them towards their goal. So it's definitely a great episode from Christina Cole. Fast forward and sticking with the same topic, we, at this point, I think it was November, we're joined by Granite Construction's own Jorge Quesada, and he's Vice President of People and Culture. And he talks about the way that leaders can really plant the seeds of inclusivity and diversity and belonging as well, and how it is a vital part to engage and hire and develop and also retain talent. Is you need to take this DE&I approach. You need to really make that at the forefront of all of your talent acquisition and HR needs. And it was one of my favorite episodes to watch. Shout out to Tom for doing a fantastic job. We've talked about this episode off air multiple times. If there is one episode that you watch from this clip show, I can guarantee you won't want to miss the Jorge episode. And with that being said, here's Jorge.
Everything about inclusive diversity is about helping people unlearn what they've learned, relearn, and then help them feel comfortable that they should always unlearn to relearn to learn, because it's always evolving. This work is always evolving. You think about the conversations that we're engaged with now. I mentioned justice. How about the use of pronouns, right? I identify as he, him, his. There are some people that feel some kind of way about using pronouns. But then there are some people that, by me identifying myself and sharing my pronouns, I've created an opportunity for someone to feel like they're part of this conversation that we're having today, right? And so, but that takes unlearning.
I love that concept of unlearning, and I especially love that Jorge chatted about pronouns there. If we were to simplify that, we've all worked with coworkers who may have had a different last name, then got married and changed their last name, or perhaps got divorced, right? We had to unlearn what we know them as, what we search for them for in Microsoft Teams and Slack. We had to unlearn that in order to learn in the future. It's the same thing with really everyday lives. As technology continues to advance, as we purchase new cars and simple everyday tasks, we may have to unlearn, that you don't have to put the key in the ignition, that you have to remove the keys from your car before you leave, otherwise it won't turn off. All of these things in between. And Jorge's episode was truly fantastic. He is a wealth of knowledge, so definitely check that one out. Continuing on with our top clips of 2022. Number 3 comes from an episode all the way back in September, where we focused really around automation within recruiters. It was a super exciting season that we chatted with, meeting candidates where they are. And in this episode, we met with ChenMed's Ali Schrader, as well as her colleague, but this episode specifically is with Ali. And she talks about recruiting in the candidate experience and the secret to ChenMed finding the right candidates, how they're leveraging talent communities and meeting candidates where they are, so that their conversations with them, their interviews with them, their phone screens with them are productive, and they understand, the candidates that is, understand what will be expected of them in the job that they applied for before they ever have their first conversation. So really a ton of insight in this one. This is our number 3 top clip of 2022.
So as we develop templates and kind of determine like how to get our message across that we're hiring and who we are, again, focusing on chemistry, like Kristen said, and developing pieces where it's our talent brand telling the story about why to join us. So that comes with writing stories for like a careers blog, highlighting the awards that ChenMed employees are winning. It's like, yes, our company wins the award, but really it's the employees sharing their feedback that makes this a great place to work. And then just leading with that employer brand story, and then disclosing the details around the jobs that we're hiring for, and also offering the opportunity to join our talent community and sign up for alerts, because if someone doesn't see their immediate fit, we're there to stay engaged with them and kind of keep that lead warm and attract that talent, and hopefully find a fit for them in the future.
Shout out to the team at ChenMed. They are doing great things down in Florida. And I know that was back in September in the middle of hurricane season. There was a storm that was coming through. They were still willing to meet with us and share some of their secrets online. So definitely check out that episode with Allie and Kristen of ChenMed. Our number 2, we are rapidly approaching things. I know folks have short attention spans, but we are getting close to our number 1 favorite clip of the week. And as a friendly reminder, if at any point you want to go back, see the other clips, see the full episodes, you can do so on the Phenom blog. You can watch the full recaps on YouTube. I'll let you in on a little secret. Also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and everything in between, we are going to air these clips as well. So definitely check them out there. You can easily share them to your friends, colleagues, and even loved ones, maybe for a last second holiday gift if you're looking for that. But you definitely want to follow us on all of those channels to keep up to date and also see what's coming next on the Talent Experience live show. Its number 2 clip comes from Jason Lauritsen. He's CEO and co-founder of Cultivayo. And Jason joined us to talk about the training that liberates managers to cultivate human potential with a more modern and human approach. Essentially the essence of being a manager. I loved this conversation with Jason. He said manager is one of the few positions where if you go into an interview for it, someone will ask you, well, you've been managed before, so now manage folks. He said that doesn't apply to everyday life. Because you've been parented before doesn't mean you are going to be a great parent. I'm learning that firsthand. I'm learning every single day on how to be a better parent, but it's not something that's easy. And when you're talking about folks' careers and things like that, Jason sheds a lot of light on how to bring the best out of your managers in order to bring the best out of your teams that work with and for them. Here's Jason.
Right. I believe every person, given the opportunity and the means to do so, will choose to succeed over failing every single time. And if that's true, then that means that if someone is not succeeding at work, it's because they're meeting an obstacle or there's something they need they don't have. And guess what? That is your job as a manager. And the only way that you can consistently make sure you're on top of those things is to check in with your people. That is the essence and the heart of management. So if you take nothing else away, take that away.
Not to give away Jason's entire episode, but he talks about the check-in methodology, and it's something that he really teaches and gives keynote speaking sessions on. And he says, how many times when you hop on with your manager or your team, do people ask, how you doing? And the answer is fine or good or whatever that is. He says, you can't get a lot of information from that. You can't see where they really stand. It's also something that you would say just in the hallway or even to a stranger in the grocery store. How you doing? Good. Awesome. Carry on with your day. He stresses the fact of different ways to check in, whether it be on a scale of 1 to 10 of how someone is feeling, and really get some more information from that question so you can see how your team is doing and see where they need help. And Jason, I really do hope that you mean what you say, that everyone wants to be successful in life. Because I'll tell you what, I'm heading to the Jets game tonight, and I really hope that Zach Wilson is successful in defeating the Jaguars. But neither here nor there. Sorry, a little self-promotion there. Our number 1 clip of 2022 comes from our CHRO, Jess Elmquist, and he talks specifically about how to integrate core values with both the candidate and employee experience. And I think this is vital because after 2020 and 2021, when so many organizations looked at their core values and said, how do we revamp these? How do we refresh these? He expresses that the job isn't done there, that it has to be solely integrated into the both candidate and employee experience. And this is also something that Jorge talked about when he came on talking about DE&I, specifically their core value, which is safety. But that is another episode. That is another clip. This is our number 1 clip of 2022 featuring Phenom's own Jess Elmquist.
It's the idea of looking at the vision and the values of your organization and then integrating that into who you are and how you're speaking to it, to the candidate as well as the employee once they join in. Again, what I said I was going to do and we were going to do as an organization, we are doing. And that's that whole idea of the platform unit Phenom, right? How do we create a relationship with the candidate and keep that relationship going all the way through the employee journey? So I think that's how you start to think about it as a CHRO, is how do we put it into our job brand, our candidate or our employment brand? How do we make sure that we actually have a really good say-do factor and sustain long-term? Because we do know there are some measurable outcomes, including more of the intangible ones that you feel and know, that really come out to show. So I think that's a piece of it, is you have a lot of good things to say, package them up and say them well, and then determine to do them.
I love hearing Just talk. He has a wealth of knowledge, and we use him whenever we can to write blogs, to hop on webinars, to share his knowledge out to our customer base and prospect base, and recruiters, talent acquisition partners, and everyone in between. So definitely check out that episode and all of the episodes. Last year, we did 51 weeks of episodes, and all of them are a wealth of information. If you're wondering at home, what week could you have possibly taken off? Thanksgiving. No one's going to watch Talent Experience live on Thanksgiving. They want to spend that time with their families, which is completely understandable. And I know everyone is getting ready to do that as we head into the holiday week and New Year. So I hope everyone stays happy, healthy, and everything in between. But before maybe you log off today or tomorrow, head on over to IamPhenom.com, perhaps register, get the early bird special, gift your team of talent acquisition partners and HR professionals tickets. We're going to have a plethora of fantastic speakers. It will be in Philadelphia, March 28th through the 30th. You won't want to miss it. I think there's over 100 sessions. There's tracks for different topics, everything in between. I'm doing it no service right now, but definitely head on over to IamPhenom.com. And after you do that, you can go back through all of our episodes on the Phenom blog, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, follow, subscribe, do the whole thing in order to stay up to date with Phenom and with Talent Experience Live. I mentioned we do this every single Thursday, so tune in every week, including January 5th when we kick off our recruiter efficiency season. Can't wait for that one. I hope everyone has a happy and healthy and safe holiday. I wish you all nothing but the best going into the new year, and we'll see you then. Thanks.